What's up, guys? Lucas Still with Autumn Athletes, here with Joseph King, sophomore at Cal Berkeley. And today we're talking to him about his recruiting process. So kind of fresh out of high school, obviously had a year of college under your belt, but just kind of want to take you back. And what was it like being, did you have interest your junior year, or was it?
Yeah, so my recruiting process I would say it started my sophomore summer. So like summer of like 2017 or something like that. And it was actually, so I'm a pitcher now, but originally I was a catcher. So I had all my like recruiting stuff was all for catching, and it was like just a handful of schools, you know. And my grades weren't that good, so I didn't have like that many opportunities arise. Like I went on 3 visits the fall of my junior year during football season or whatever. And I went to like Arizona State, Fresno State, and Washington State. And I mean, none of those schools really require crazy academic, you know, profiles or whatever to get into. So those were my original options. And I ended up committing to Washington State my junior fall, mostly just because I felt like I got a very good scholarship, which I did, you know, a good scholarship. And it was Pac-12. You know, and I was like, I want to play with the best, and this is what I have right now, and this is what I'm going to run with, because I really, you know, like the coaching and the coaching staff and all these other little things that I just loved about Pullman, you know, when I was 17 years old, 16 years old, whatever it was. And like, I don't know, they had also been talking to me the longest, you know, and I felt like there was a good connection there. Whereas there were other schools, like I mentioned, like that, well, because of my grades, you know, had kind of like just left me in the dust. And so I committed and went through, you know, about a year, you know, committed. I signed my NLI my senior year to go to school there. By that point, I kind of started pitching a little bit more, you know, like one of my coaches had been like,
so
hey,
you signed
like,
as a catcher?
Yeah, I was a catcher.
Could you rake?
I was definitely more of a defensive catcher, 100%. Like I had good pop times and stuff, you know, I had a strong arm. And then,
yeah, you do.
Yeah. And then that kind of like all translated to me being a closer for my summer team, going into my senior year. I went to like some, you know, events, and they were like all over me as a pitcher, not as a catcher. They didn't really care about my catching, my defensive tools.
So this was what, summer after junior year?
Yeah, this was, going into my senior year.
What was your velo at?
I topped at 92, like the first week of summer or whatever. I had topped at 80 or at 90 like in January of that year. Okay. And then I went out to Jupiter, Florida for like one of those perfect game tournaments, like one of the last ones before, you know, they kind of shut everything down. And I popped like a 95 a couple times. Uh-oh. Yeah, and so that kind of was the end of my catching career, basically. But in this whole time, I'm committed to Washington State.
Yeah. Well, did Washington not say like, "Hey, we want you now as a pitcher"?
No. Well, they were like, "Hey, like, we'll definitely use you as a pitcher, but we definitely still want you as a catcher." And I was super amped about that, to be honest, because like when it came to all like the pro looks and stuff, like I got a lot more looks for being a pitcher than a catcher, you know. And I was like, okay, I'll go to college and catch. Love it. But go through the spring season, you know, like. I caught and pitched all season or whatever, and you know, stayed in contact with Washington State, obviously. And then all of a sudden, my coaches got fired. Like the whole coaching staff just got wiped off the face of the earth from Washington State. And I mean, they all ended up, you know, doing fine. Like I think the head coach Marty Lees ended up at Oklahoma State. Like the catching coach Jim.
Did they get fired because they recruited you, or? Yeah,
basically. The catching coach ended up coaching minor league ball, and like. I was just, when they got fired, I was just like, well.
You opened up your recruitment.
I opened up my recruitment, exactly. I was just like, well, okay, this isn't good. I'd rather go play for a coach that I actually know who's going to be my coach than for whoever ends up being their coach, not knowing who that's going to be. And, you know, I had also gotten my grades up since my, you know.
So proud of you.
Yeah, since like my sophomore year or whatever, junior fall. And so, you know, I had more opportunities on the table. And like, I basically. A week before I graduated, I got out of my NLI, which was like an interesting process, which is like basically my mom just had to call the AD and like be like, hey, I'm not comfortable with my son going to going to school if I don't know who the coaches are.
Right.
And I mean, they could have just not let me do it, and I could have had to go JUCO actually. Like that's how it works. Like if they just said no, like you got to come here, and you sign the paperwork. Yeah. Like it's all, I don't know, it's all up to them at the end of the day. You know, because I signed my paperwork. You know, like it's contract. But thankfully, you know, they let me go, and like I had the opportunity to talk to a bunch of different schools in that like a week before I graduated. And so I walked, you know, across the stage graduating, not knowing where I was going to go to school. And then about like 2 weeks after that, you know, I had talked to like, there's a handful of schools, like Oklahoma State had called me, Baylor, USC, who else? Oregon. There was like maybe like 3 other. Fresno State called again, you know, and then Berkeley called, you know, and I got the opportunity. I'm born and raised in the Bay Area, you know, like across 30, 40 minutes away from UC Berkeley, and I was just like, damn, like I can go to Berkeley. Like I didn't know I could go to Berkeley. I didn't think I was that smart, which I'm really not.
We don't think so either.
Nah, but you know, I got the opportunity, and I went and visited the school because it was super close, and it was the only one I really went and visited because I wasn't going to go fly out to Oklahoma, and I wasn't going to go fly out to Texas right then.
Right.
And I was just completely sold. Like as I got to school, I got to Berkeley, and I was like, damn, like I love it. You know, like this is my place. This is where I want to be for the next three to 4 years. Hopefully, you know, hopefully 3, right? But yeah, and I also knew like 5 or 6 kids in my recruiting class that were committed to Berkeley. That, you know, I knew them, and they were really cool dudes. You know, I could definitely see myself playing with them for the next, you know, couple years or whatever. And so I went and got my offer, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a Berkeley Bear. Where's the paper? Where do I sign? Like, sign me up. Like, I am ready. Like, I do not want to go to Oklahoma. I don't want to go fly anywhere. Like, this is it. This is what I want. And so, I mean, that was it. You know, I got to go sign that stuff, and I'm at Berkeley now.
And you're at Berkeley now. Had a good freshman year.
Yeah. I mean, for the 15 games we got to play.
Right. Obviously with COVID.
Yeah,
I think there's, obviously it worked out for you, but I think there's a lesson to be learned there for kids at home with grades are kind of important.
Definitely. No, like if your grades suck, you can't play at a lot of places.
Yeah.
Like unless you're a freak of nature, and then like they might find a way to sneak you in, you know. But for the most part, like at Berkeley at least, all my teammates are very intelligent, you know, like they had great grades in high school. Like it's not easy to get into school there for a regular student to begin with, and it's not easy to get into school there for an athlete as well, like for what I know.
Right.
And like, I don't know, like if you want to go to a different school where the academics are less important, you know, that's fine. It's not a big deal, obviously. Like baseball's baseball, you know, but there's definitely limitations to where you can go and where you can play at, where you can, you know, like graduate from.
Right.
If you have a 2.5 in high school, you know, if you don't do your homework, if you don't do anything, you know.
Well, I think it's, you know, on top of just keeping your options open, right? If you're 4.0, there's pretty much no schools that are off the table.
Yeah.
But also, like if you have that 3.5, 4.0, you might be able to get some athletic or academic scholarship money. So from a financial situation, also, it's like might keep more opportunities open that weren't open there before.
100%. Like
obviously, a lot of these schools are not cheap to go to.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kids that get into schools to play baseball without athletic money at all. You know, like they're only like they get in because they have great grades, and then they can walk onto a team. You know, that's how it works for a lot of people. I mean, I don't know. When looking back at my recruiting process, like the original commitment, I definitely jumped into it way too quick. You know, like my football coach actually in high school, he had told me, like, because he had played college football at like Oregon or whatever, and he said like, hey, like, don't go rushing into anything. Like, hey, just take your time. Like, go on your officials. You know, have a good time. But like, I felt, you know, you go on Instagram, and you see all these kids committing, you know, and they're like 2 years younger than me, and I'm just like, damn, like, what the hell? Like, this kid's committed to Mississippi State, and he's like 13. Like, what?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. You kind of rush into. I kind of rushed into things, you know. Even though, you know, and at the time, I definitely thought that was like the
school
perfect choice for me, the best choice.
there's like that social pressure now, especially as you said, like the Instagram post. Everyone wants to post that D1 school that they're going to, and get the likes and get the retweets. But like as you said, or as you, just kind of from your story, like that 95 mile per hour fastball, you didn't come till right at the end of that summer going into your senior year. And as a kid that's 14, is definitely going to develop a lot by the time he's 18. So it's you probably worth it to kind of bet on yourself and, as you said, not rush the process, because on day one of your freshman year, it doesn't matter if you committed the week before or 4 years before that. Like, everyone gets the same opportunity on the field, and if you go and ball out, like, you're gonna get playing time.
Yeah, definitely. You go. I mean, like, I don't know if everybody understands that part. I don't know if I completely understood that part when I got into college, but like anything you did before you got into college, like All-American, whatever, like Gatorade Player of the Year, any of that, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all once you're on the field, because at the end of the day, like, the guys that are going to produce are the guys that are going to play. And I mean, I don't know. That's just another part of it.
Well, that's
just baseball.
That's something that I could try to tell a lot of these kids here, just because a kid will come in at 82 or 83 on the mound and have pretty much no D1 interest, and they'll train here for 6 months and all of a sudden pop their first 88 or 89. And that first school, that might be the caliber of a San Jose State or a Fresno State, or maybe a mid to lower level D1 will come calling, and they'll get kind of a culture shock of like, wait, a D1 school wants me, I want to sign right now. And it's like, well, if you actually waited 3 months and got to 92, 93, maybe now you can go almost anywhere you want. Like,
I mean, and there's also like, there is a part that needs to be said where it's like, at the end of the day, like schools like Fresno State and San Jose State, like, they're not going to be bad.
Yeah, they're still great.
That's
still
baseball. That's still good baseball. Like, I don't know, there's so many conferences outside of the Power 5 where you can get an opportunity outside of D1 as well. Like, I have a lot of friends that played, JUCO ball.
NAIA, baby.
Yeah, exactly, NAIA. I have friends that, William Jessup right down the street. And, like, I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, where opportunity is at, that's where you want to be, right? Like,
you want to make sure it's a good fit, right?
Yeah,
so, like,
that too, though.
For a lot of our guys, like, they really love, throwing the plyo balls, and they love, the warm-up routine and recovery routine that we do that's, pretty much around the Driveline program. And, if they get that first offer and they commit, and then they realize 2 weeks after they commit, wait, I'm going to a school that doesn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to warm up to pitch if I can't throw my plyo balls? And it's kind of that, you got to find out those, like, 2 or 3 things that's really important to you that you want in a program, and make sure wherever you commit to has that, whether that's, a lifting program, a philosophy of a coach, a location, whatever is, like, really important to you for college, is like, make sure they have that. Take the time to bet on yourself and don't rush the process. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. Just don't rush it. Like, just you're gonna live there for 3 or 4 years, so you
may as well wait and figure out what you actually want.
Yep. We're pretty much out of time. You got any final tips for kids going through the recruiting process right now?
I don't know. Like, nothing really that substantial. I don't know. Like, when talking to colleges can be like talking to girls sometimes. Like you can text all you want, you can call all you want, but at the end of the day, unless like you're actually, meeting them and like hanging out with them and meeting the coaches and stuff, like, it doesn't matter, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can put that in, but
I mean, definitely, like, don't be afraid to ask questions. And like you said, do your research, and you can talk to Vanderbilt, but if you never go there and check it out, or you don't see, like, like a thing that I would tell kids a lot is like, go watch a practice, because a coach can sit here and tell you, hey, we do Driveline, we use the plyo balls, but if you go and watch a practice and you don't see them throw plyos at all, it's like, well, what do you mean you do Driveline? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. Like, when I went to Washington State, one of my unofficial, my junior year, and met the coaches and stuff, like, obviously they're the nicest people on the planet when you're first meeting them.
Definitely.
And then I went on my official, I talked to some guys, and they're like, well, like, obviously they're not always like that. Like, obviously, it's how it is,
They're humans.
Luckily at Berkeley, like, Mike News always liked who he is. He's
a great guy.
The chillest dude on the planet, I feel like. He's awesome. But, yeah, I don't know.
Check out a practice. Don't be afraid to talk to current players, and know that everyone, they're putting their best foot forward when they meet you as a recruit. They're trying to recruit you to play there. So don't be afraid to dig a little deeper. Check out the campus. Talk to current players, or ex-players.
Yeah, and then never sell yourself short. Just like, don't.
Bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process. It's a fun time. But Joseph, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm glad you ended up at Cal.
Me too. Yeah.
I mean, good luck the rest of the way, and we're excited to watch you pitch this year. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.